There's also an update on something else that I talked about on a previous stream. Semi-recently, there was an assassination attempt on the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi. There was a crazy Nazi guy who went to her home, not in LA, I was mistaken last time, it was in San Francisco. Crazy Nazi guy went to her home in San Francisco with a hammer, and was like yelling, "Where's Nancy?" He wanted to kill her. She was not home. However, who was home was her 82-year-old husband, and he was in a very scary situation. Being 82, this guy is considerably younger than him, has a hammer, and is clearly not well in the head. And so, Paul Pelosi, to his massive credit, like I will give massive props to Paul Pelosi for this. He like kind of successfully talked the guy down enough for him to call the cops. Enough for Paul Pelosi to call the cops. He had the guy in a position where like both of their hands were on the hammer, and like the guy couldn't hit him with the hammer because Paul Pelosi was holding him back. And then the cops got there. They found the two of them struggling. Paul Pelosi, I think, had like almost managed to talk the guy out of attacking him with a hammer. And the cops said, "It's okay, you know, we're here now, we'll handle it. You can let go of the hammer." And on cue, as Paul Pelosi lets go of the hammer, this Nazi guy hits him over the head with it, like starts hitting him, because of the police. So I mentioned last time that Paul Pelosi was attacked. He got hit by the hammer. He is recovering now. He fortunately was not killed. But if the cops did not do that, he would have not gotten hit by the hammer. It is the fault of the cops, and of course the crazy Nazi guy, that Paul Pelosi was assailed like this. So, ACAB, all cops are bastards, defund the police, etc., etc. Just when you thought that police couldn't sink any lower, they almost made a botched assassination attempt a little bit less botched, which is very frightening, especially considering the political leanings of the United States Police. Like on average, cops in America are much more aligned with fascists than even the military. But the second part of this, outside of the cops making the situation worse, as they usually do, is that I think it is now. We're now at a point where I think Nancy Pelosi and other Democratic leadership has to realize that they can't play the 1990s style game of patty cake that they've been doing for the last 30 years with the Republicans. Republican politicians and the Republican media machine enabled this guy. They played defense for this guy. They played cover for this guy. This guy wasn't even American, and they played cover for him because they agreed with him. So what has to happen is that the Democrats at a federal level broadly have to start moving for mass investigations, mass arrests, and we're now at the point where we really just have to get the GOP, the Republican Party, banned from holding office. Because I think there's an argument that like, oh, how do you draw that line? I think we can draw that line at somewhere before the point where the party line is that we should support people that try to assassinate our political opponents. I think the line comes somewhere before there, and now I can safely say we're past that line. Because here's the thing: if Democrats don't do that, if they just let Republicans do their thing like they've always let them do, this is going to happen again. If this guy went to Nancy Pelosi's house, tried to kill her, injured her husband, and of course this guy's going to face prison time, obviously. But if there's no action taken against the circumstances that led to this in the first place, it's just going to keep happening until all of a sudden the assassination attempts aren't failures anymore. And I know it's cliche, but the closest comparable situation is Weimar Germany, except instead of the Jews, it's trans people. And in fact, there are people online just like giving the game away, saying like, yeah, you know, trans people are the Jews of the 21st century or something. And, you know, like I said in another video I did on this, the most obvious consequence of banning the Republican Party from holding office in America, and the point that is easiest to levy a critique on, is that this would make America a one-party state with just the Democratic Party. That is correct. However, I levy this counter-argument. Tough shit. If you don't want America to be a one-party Democratic Party state, or whatever, you know, maybe don't try to assassinate your political opponents and, like, you know, kill trans kids. Maybe don't be the literal Nazi party next time. You know, that I think that would help.